Well, hello, and we are live now. Welcome back, my battle language buddies. I hope this live is the first one of many live that are gonna be doing on live analysis, just to be able to create faster content for all the topics that are popping up every day, and I just can't keep up with them, editing and with the regular videos that you see on the channel. So I'm trying to do a little bit of experiment. Please tell me if you get anything crazy with the sound. I try to make sure that the sound goes well. If you the video that we're gonna see or gonna watch, for the case we're gonna analyze about Summer Wells, that is a 5-year-old girl from Tennessee in the United States that went missing like 1 month ago, and there is no person of interest yet. There are no leads. There almost nothing to aid in her search, and a lot of people are like pointing out to her parents for some, let's say, suspicious behavior. I don't want to say suspicious, but because they're not formal suspects, and this is important to understand about this kind of analysis. This analysis, let me put myself here in full first. This kind of analysis do not are not to point directly at a culprit or assign guilt, mainly to understand what should be aware of, what should be spot when we're watching a video of a person in a statement, or we're talking with someone having a casual conversation, and which are the spots that we should be aware of, and if there are any inconsistencies about what they say or what their words say and what they're talking or what they're saying or speaking with their body. So that's important to make that distinction. That's what these exercises are for. But first, has been nearly a month since a statewide Amber Alert was issued in Tennessee for 5-year-old Summer Moon Utah Wells, and the girl's parents reported her missing. That is also, if you have been following this case or not, this case has some inconsistencies by the case itself, because when you listen to the dispatch of the police on the very first call from the dispatch from the police, there's one statement that say that they were looking for the girl in one way, and then their declaration changed to another statement, a different statement. So that begins to raise red flags. And also, the Wells family, well, I let me see, the father, let me see if I can change here to, you can change here to Google Chrome. All right, Wells' father, Summer's father. All right, she was planting flowers with her mother and her grandmother, and she wanted to go into the house, so my wife watched her go into the door, and she went into the house. And the boys, her brothers, the regular brothers, were on the internet, of course, and she wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys. So, long story short, there's something that I just don't get, and we're gonna listen in the video itself about that statement, and that both the mother and the father have criminal records on. I should mention that. I know that it's gonna like predispose you a bit, but let me see. Previous charge date back to 1990. Donald Wells, the father, has faced previous charges in Utah and Arkansas. In Arkansas, charged with possession of controlled counterfeit substances, and I understand that his brother is a convicted sex offender at the same time. But it seems that, according to the father, his brother was in Utah at the time of the abduction. And there's another thing that I want you to notice, to spot on the video, because it's like they're trying to, once you see the video, we're gonna be watch the video together. They're trying to really sell on the fact that it was an abduction. They're trying to push it. All right, we're gonna watch it now. We're gonna watch it bit by bit. Just tell me. You're gonna notice that the audio on this video sadly is coming out just from one side. I think it's gonna be your left side. So just pay attention to the left side of your headphones or your mobile phone. It's gonna come out only from the left side of your device, right? So let's start. Tell me if you listen to it. All right, I'll be spotting here. I'll be waiting for here if. Okay, let's put play.
A lot. I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Me and my mother and her were planting flowers, and we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers, and I said okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch. And
okay, there are a few things here that I will point out. First, that many people are saying that she might be first under the influence of some kind of pills or some kind of medication, and it's absolutely possible. It's the way she slurs with her mouth. You can say that at first you notice we don't have much footage or additional footage to establish a solid baseline. We have to establish the baseline on this same video and watch if, for example, the shape of the way she twists her mouth in that shape is normal to her. It's the way she does it all the time. And maybe she could have a bit of what is called a Bell's palsy, a slight paralysis of the face, or that's the way that she talks all the time. But that's important, because if we notice that that's part of her baseline, we just discard it. We don't take it into account at all. But at the same time, I noticed too, I'm going to put all the volume down and going to play again. Notice the way she blinks. I noticed that the way she blinks was extremely soft and extremely slow too. It's like we should be able to know if that's her usual way of blinking. But even so, if it's her usual way of blinking, it's way too slow from a normal standpoint, from a normal way of blinking. So it really that speech speed is really slow. Now, having said that, there's also let's watch another part of the clip. Keep on.
And within 2 minutes I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said okay, and I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone. I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Go to the FBI.
Okay, before we go to the father's statement, there's a couple more things I want to say about the mothers this time. First of all, I don't notice in her face. We can have in this frame, we can spot, I don't know if you can spot at that exact moment, but if I zoom in, maybe the quality of the video will not allow you to see. We zoom in too much in a video, we're analyzing it, we're gonna lose details. I think you can spot in this frame of the video, there's a very, very, very subtle expression of grief, and on her face, something that I noticed, doesn't have almost any at all, like wrinkles or the lines or her facial expression. So that means one of the things. It could mean that she comes from a family where emotions were suppressed or repressed, and so she just lived to not expressing her emotions, and that's what is happening here. But having a missing child, having your child missing, is something that is going to elicit a very strong emotion. And many people will say, we don't understand how this woman could be talking like that with her child still missing after so many days. And I don't know how many days was this interview after the girl was missing, but even so, we could have the hypothesis that she could be in some tranquilizer, or should be on some pills that like to suppress her nerves, to suppress her emotions, to try to talk, to be composed, to be able to talk to the press. We have to take into account that we could think that to be able to talk to the press, she needed something to be able to articulate her words. Maybe it's possible. So those are moments when you cannot rely exclusively in body language, because body language may be, especially the face, may be compromised by medication. Maybe. You take into account the body language. We also have to take into account the words that she uses and the dynamic with the father, so we can reach a better conclusion. But it's important to notice all things. My main goal, my most important goal, is that you learn to observe, have a system to observe body language, so you can use it the next time you have a conversation, or next time you have a meeting, or the next time you watch a video. You can know how to frame your observation and understand better how to get to a conclusion. So we can go, okay, Xanax and gabapentin. Alcohol could be too, of course.
Just go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I mean, I don't know, it seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. I mean, if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point. Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Okay, let's go a few seconds back and let's listen this again. This last statement the father said.
Right away that she was abducted. I knew right away that she was abducted.
Okay, he says, I knew right away that she was abducted. He begins to look away with his eyes. Let's try to spot. I'm going to give it frame by frame. We're going to play it again. We're going to listen to it again. We're going to see it frame by frame.
Well, I knew right.
Oh, we knew, I knew. He corrects himself. We knew, and immediately corrects himself to say, I knew.
Way that she was abducted, I knew that right away.
I knew that right away, and I think there's a very subtle, a very subtle shoulder shrug there. It moves.
Do that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they.
And that's what I told them from the beginning. I always have a problem with when people begin to say something that is critically important. This is very important. He said that he knows that it was an abduction, but at the same time he begins to look to the sides like he's not sure of what he's saying. We have to compare with the other moments when he's talking. We're gonna backtrack a bit, and we're gonna try to make a comparison the way he uses his eyes when he's saying far less important things, and this moment when he's saying something very concrete, that he's absolutely sure that it was an abduction. Let's go back a bit and let's listen to that sentence again.
Out of control, so we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head to so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her.
Oh, notice also that his head is also pointing to the interviewer. His face is pointing to the interviewer. It's more like he's just talking about how his daughter used to cut her hair in a way like a boy, like the boys, like her mother that used to shave her head too. He's far more secure about that, most sure about that, about what he's saying. Like, it's very concrete. We know that this memory is true because we also have photographs of the girl with a shaved head. But when we go back to the same, thanks Judy, you did right with a super sticker. Thank you, Judy.
You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, you know, I forget the word.
Investigation.
Okay. Again, he insists in the abduction, begins looking to the sides, has that subtle shoulder shrug. He has this tongue jut. It sticks his tongue out. The tongue out most of the time is something that you're not really sure of what you're saying. You do not completely agree with what you're saying. You have to make a difference between using your tongue to moisten your lips and just making it stick out a bit. Like in this case, let's see. I think we can get to that tongue jut.
I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, you know, I forget the word.
Investigation.
That moment is the tongue jut. You project your tongue just right up front, and these are the things that I would like to ask. Why are you so sure it was an abduction? What made you think it was just an abduction? Because you're making a statement, and this is complementary or a complement to body language. You have to try to get in the person's head. It's not only what they're talking with their body language, what they're expressing with their emotions, with their facial expressions, with their body, because that is like a external manifestation of emotion. That emotions can also be in the form of words, and there are some words also that the mom said before. I forgot to mention them. Let's listen to her again. And this is how an analysis, a body language analysis is. You have to go back, backtrack, spot something that one of the, for example, the father did and pointed to the mother and try to connect with something with that the mother said, and backtrack, I don't know, 7, 8 times until you spot what you trying to look for. And you begin making sense, you begin noticing things, and you begin making sense of a story that is beyond our current like perception. cannot trust only words, and even so, words can reveal things that they're saying. We're gonna talk about the tense where they talk: present tense, past tense, future tense. Let's see.
I'm going to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch. And I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was. And they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom.
Okay, we have to make a distinction because people in the comments of this video and people in internet are saying that, and many cases like this, that people tend to talk about their children in past tense. We have to make a distinction between two scenarios. One is normal for people to talk about their children in past tense, and the other is a bit odd. The normal scenario when people talk about the missing child in past tense is when they are recalling events that happened in the past. For example, when Summer cut her hair, it happened in the past, so it's absolutely normal to talk about it in the past. What is odd is the second scenario, is that if you begin talking about the child or characteristics of the child, if you begin talking about them in past tense, like if they're dead or they're no longer here, that begins odd because when people believe that their child is out there somewhere, they will talk about them in present tense. Like they're very happy, they're very I don't know, jumpy, or they like reading a book before going to sleep. They're gonna talk in present tense. If people describe their child in past tense, I don't know. That's really odd. That's a huge red flag. I'm not saying that automatically they will be guilty because talking like that, but it's not normal because they're talking the way they are thinking. Their words reflect their thinking and their feelings, and that's very important. That's something that you have to take account. I'm gonna jump forward a bit to the point when the father was talking.
Out of control, so we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head to.
Okay, it's part of the already listened to.
Right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But
all right, two things. First thing is we have to be aware of these changes in manners or these changes in voice or in facial expression, because you got words that let you make further questions. An easy question here: why are you so sure it was an abduction? It was a spot-on question. He didn't get that question, sadly. It will be really, really important to make that question. And what he just said, I don't know if you got it, but I'm gonna backtrack and I'm gonna paraphrase what he just said here that also caught my attention. I'm gonna.
the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything.
I'm sorry they had to spend so many man hours in these woods.
I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that.
He's sorry for the man doing the search for his daughter. That's something I just don't get. You should be terrified, afraid of your daughter out there, not the man making the search. I understand the men making the search are doing everything they can. They're working in extreme heat. They are the conditions are not the best to make a search of that scope. But I think being worried about them, being ashamed and being sorry about them making that search, it's the last thing I think a father should be saying or should be mentioning when he's talking about his missing child. I would like to know, what do you think? I would like to know what do you think? Yeah, like back to earth says here, who cares how many hours they spend? It's about how the child's life. I lost my mind when I lost my daughter in the shopping center years ago. She was 2. Thank God security was there. That's terrible. Also, one of the uh, most terrifying sensations. Like you think you feel your heart stopping. It's terrible because they might find her guest. That this is something that I don't get. He says that, or there was the mother's what the mother said, that she was, I don't know. Let's wait until she says
Neighbors
it in
can
this
search
video.
neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house.
Okay, let's go back a bit in this part too.
Neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or.
This is another extremely delicate statement. They should be searching neighbors' houses. What do you think will be the logical question after that? You're an investigator. You're interrogating him. He says they should be searching neighbors' questions. What do you think is the most logical question after that statement? What do you think it will be? Let's see who can come up with one. Well, the most critical question after that will be: Do you have a suspect in any neighbor? Are you suspicious of any neighbor? What are your relationship with your neighbors? You just tell us, and we find a warrant and search their houses. Is there any way your neighbors could be involved in this? But I understand. I look at the map of their house, and it was a really ample space, a big space around the house. So the neighbors could be really far away. And there's also the topic in this kind of investigation that what is the motive in this case? Who could be doing this? Who could be doing this to this family? Could they suspect, and how could no one saw anything? In this case, the brothers of the girl saw her just walking out the door by herself. And how come she hasn't done it any other time? And how come the mother is not aware of this, if this has happened other times? I don't know. It's really, really strange, because you have to take, like, if you have someone, a suspect, or the possibility that it was an abduction, you can imagine that the abductor had planned this a bit. So they should have done it during something or an activity that they used to do all the time at the same hour. It's something that goes in an investigation. It's something that is common sense during an investigation. So it's really strange that you call that an abduction in an event that it was not common in the house. That she was picking flowers with her mother and her grandmother, and then she went on inside the house. Her brother saw her, and supposedly 2 minutes later, the mother was calling her, and she didn't find her anymore. So it's really odd. It's a really odd case.
Ever, but I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, out of love, and trying to get information and trying to get her found. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
It means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, yeah, there's always going to be haters, and it's always going to be that way in this world. And we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. And that's the
Notice that at this time he's beginning to hunch. He's beginning to, like, his shoulders are way. We're here at 4:11. We go back a bit. His shoulders are a bit more spread, like 2 minutes ago. In 4:11, his shoulders are way together. He's becoming a little upset. He's becoming a little nervous. It's an emotional response. We don't know exactly why is there an emotional response, but it must be something that he just said or something that he's thinking. So we just notice it, take it into account, and keep listening. One of the most important things in body language is being able to listen without prejudice, without any bias. Trying to just listen and observe. It's one of the most difficult things. You cannot imagine how difficult it is to look without absolutely no biases. It's something that you have to practice over and over again. And we are so used to, in a conversation, to listen to people and be thinking what I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer this. This is what I'm going to say right after they stop talking, and maybe it's not even an answer or a response to what they're talking. I just want to talk about my own experience and not talk about their experience, and that's not a conversation. A conversation is like a tennis game when there's a topic that goes back and forth, and sometimes you have the responsibility, because I'm telling you, you have this knowledge. You're the one who must listen, or really be compenetrated to what the other person is saying, because that's the way you will earn being a great conversation, having a great conversation, and that's very persuasive. And people like talking to you, addressing, like talking about their day with you. That lets you know a lot about people, and the more you know about people, the better you can get along with them. And if you want to persuade them, you can also persuade them easier. So let's continue here, listening.
kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we just try to be around good people. I mean,
notice that he said the word neighbors, and he begins, he closes his shoulders, he tenses his shoulders even more. Let's repeat that.
no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because
Yeah, that movement. See that right there? It's basically hunching on both sides, not a single shoulder shrug. It's on both shoulders. He's doing it. This kind of body language signals do not have a meaning, like an exact meaning in themselves, but they serve as markers in the conversation. You watch the shoulder, like the shoulder shrug, and at the same time realize that he was talking about a topic that is repeating itself along the statement. He's talking about neighbors. Earlier he told about we should be searching neighbors' houses, and he also was sure it was an abduction. So you notice that there's a topic that he's trying to stress over and over again, and there must be a reason. This also, this is very important. I've told it and I've said it in many videos. It's what are the intentions of the person. Body language is a reflection of their emotions. Words are a reflection of their emotions and what they're thinking. And what they're thinking is a reflection of their intentions. What does he want? You know that the disappearance is not 100% important for him because he's concerned about the effort of the man looking for his child. That's not normal. Excuse me, but that is not normal. And he puts a lot of stress on the neighbors, the neighbors, the neighbors. You should know, you should be more concise or very, or more specific of what you're talking about your neighbors over and over again. And this is important because if you're not more precise on why you're saying that, it's like you're trying to make a deflection or trying to guide the search in another different way or in a way that will be slower. This is something, this is the kind of questions that you listen to this statement, and if this was 1 week or 2 weeks after Summer's disappearance, you're gonna say, hey, he should have said this from the beginning. That will be very important. I suspect from my neighbor, especially Mr. John Doe, for example, right? So body language, an analysis in body language. Some people tell me, thank you, Patricia, for your super sticker. Thank you very much. People tell me, for example, my video of Kevin Samuels. I did my last video was about Kevin Samuels. I had a lot of fun making that a video. I did not talk much about body language, and some people pointed out, hey, you are the body language guy, but you didn't say almost anything or virtually nothing about body language in this video. And the problem is that you cannot watch or take body language in itself. It's like a system. Body language, the spoken word, the intentions, the situation, the time, the when is happening, when is this happening, who are these people, the relationship between them, what are the body language reactions, what are their voice reaction, the words they're using. Every single one is part of the system of the equation that we're gonna craft to get to a conclusion. So you cannot talk exclusively about body language. So in the Kevin Samuels video, I talk a lot more about what are the circumstances or why people still watch his show or why women still call him to be treated like he treats women. So it's like trying to understand human behavior from a side that when you listen to a conversation or have a conversation with a person, it makes you easier understand the motives, what drives the people, what interests the people, and you drive the conversation to that area. In this case, you understand that he wants to talk about the neighbors. You will know if you're talking to this man face to face, you will just take that conversation to the neighbors. Tell me more about your neighbors. Are they any neighbors that you are suspicious of? Because you take every clue that is not only body language, but body language is important, but not only body language, to lead the conversation or lead the interrogation and ultimately get to the truth. And this is very, very delicate. This is a very delicate topic because not many people understand the importance of reading intentions in persons. And most important of all, this has to do with lie detection. I'm going to make a video on how to detect lies. So you cannot just watch body language clues and detect lies. It's a very more complex topic. But in that topic, the lie detection itself is not that hard. It could be a little bit lengthy. Maybe you follow this channel. This is a very good channel that is I think it's JCS psychology or criminology. I don't remember. Has this 1 hour special about interrogations. It's a very good channel. I think I'm going to review or gonna react to one of their interrogations videos one of these days. And it's very complex the way those interrogations spend 3 or 4 hours just talking to people until they get the confession, and it's in a totally non-coercive way. It's like they just fall into place, and that's what we're looking for. That we read body language, we listen to words, we make questions. We sadly cannot make questions in this case, but it will be needed to do the exercise of the actual body language analysis, and at the end get to the truth. All this with the unique goal of you using this in your conversations. That's my main goal. Maybe not that saying these people are guilty or these people have something to do. We could never be sure. There's a lot of red flags, of course. Your intuition tells you there's something really odd with them, but it's more important that you use this knowledge for yourself, for your day-to-day conversation. So we're gonna continue.
because we just try to be around good people. I mean, and we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
The most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. They always provide.
For example, that statement, we love our children.
The most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked.
Okay, there's something that I want to state about that head movement of her. Okay, here we go again.
I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without.
Okay, you might be noticing that she is saying no with her head. And there's a problem. There's a really big problem that we haven't addressed with cultural differences in body language. And in America, United States of America, Americans have this, like, it's a gesture that is, how to say it, it's very localized, and it has been like spread to Mexico too. I've seen it with my Mexican friends, that when you're going to emphasize something, you sometimes emphasize swinging your head like a no, and sometimes it's difficult to difference if people are saying no with their heads unconsciously, or emphasizing a word with that same movement. Like there's something something is delicious, and they say like this. Something I've observed in Americans a lot, and so it can be confusing. In other cultures, it's much more easy to say, hey, they're saying no. They're saying something. They're affirming something, but their head is saying no. But in America, it's a bit more difficult. In this case, I could tell that it's not emphasis, but she's saying no with her head because the movement happens outside the verbal statement. The verbal statement happens here, and the head movement happens like 1 second later, 2 seconds later. That's important. That the synchronization between the words and the body language that should always be at the same time. When you're emphasizing something with your hands or with your head, with your body, it should happen at the same time. When you raise your voice tone to emphasize something, It should happen at the same time. If not, there's something wrong the way people are organizing their ideas or their feelings. So when we listen to her again, you will notice that she says that she loves her children, but that denial with her head happens a couple seconds later.
This way about us, but we love our children with everything we have.
Air.
We've never went without.
It's a slight sway of the head. So when it happens, it's like it's a little heartbreaking. It's a little heartbreaking because you know that something is off, and then you begin stacking. I always say about stacking. I always make the similarity between body language reading and blackjack, counting cards in blackjack. You begin stacking the odds in one way or another, or the signals. You begin stacking the signals until you reach a conclusion. So there are no tears. There are no almost zero, like this brow movement of her brows. There's no almost no grief. There's almost no tension in her mouth when she talks about her child, when she talks about her family. There's no change in her facial expression, and that's important. When you maybe she has that tongue, that mouth, that word mouth all the time. Okay, that's her baseline. But when she's talking all along the interview, we haven't seen any change, and there should be changes because sometimes she's talking about the general circumstances of the abduction, as they say, and in other cases she's talking about her family. She's recalling her family, and we know that she's recalling her family because her eyes go to her left. Okay, remember that's important. She's remembering moments with her family, with her children, but we don't see that emotion. We don't notice that emotion. We don't connect with that emotion. I'm not saying that is being guilt. Again, that's important. But you begin stacking all those signals, and it's a mini red flag, mini red flag, mini red flag, mini red flag, and you end up what is this? I don't get this. So that's one of the things people get by intuition. My intuition tells me there's something odd, there's something that just wrong with these people, and this is like the way that you can. Oh, okay, I'm getting this bad mojo, this bad feeling because all these topics that I can watch consciously and I can dissect rationally. That's important. That's the importance of these exercises.
We've never went without. Thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around. Ever.
She loves.
Okay, this is really really important. That's my baby, and no one will treat like that when I'm around. But okay, let's go back a bit and listen to it.
And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around.
Right, at this point, it's important to notice that she's expressly talking about Summer, and expressly talking about Summer. There is absolutely no grief in her brow. That's her regular brow expression. There's no grief like we saw at the beginning. It's really no. There's a bit. Sometimes there's a bit of tension in her left eyebrow. Okay, like this. Maybe it could be that she has some Bell's palsy, some facial paralysis. It could be that, but in other times of the video, namely we're here in 5:05 at the start, I noticed. I know that I saw that. So at some point at the start, I saw that those brows in riff, a very subtle riff. I know that I saw it, but I can't remember. That's something that's also something that I do when I'm doing this analysis. That I have to just pause every 1 or 2 seconds and make annotations, and the what kind of emotional marker am I watching and what could it mean, and that's when I begin like spotting patterns. When I look at all my annotations of the video, I have not made any annotations. I haven't even seen this full video. I just wanted to look at it with you. But I know I saw her brows in some grief expression at the beginning. I just can't spot it right now. I don't know if it was here, but it's really hard, because especially her right side of her face practically never moves. The cheek doesn't move. The forehead doesn't move. If you look at almost all the video, we fast forward a bit. I can, well, there you can have a very subtle tension of a bit of anger here. You have a bit of tension in her right eyebrow, but that's it. And that must be the reason why her mouth is asymmetrical in that way. She must have some kind of paralysis this side of the face, but that doesn't explain why she sometimes has movement on her left eyebrow but doesn't show grief with that side of her face. That's important to consider. So we were in 5:05, jump to 5:05 now.
Yeah, it still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around, ever.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand."
What was that? She's smiling? Is that a smile? Oh my god. It's a very creepy expression, but it's actually what do you think about this expression? Yeah, it looks like a dupe in the light. We can still see that her right side of her face. I cannot do it. I don't know how to do it right now. And her right side, the right side of her face is still like doesn't move at all. You can make an experiment of just covering the left side of her face and watching just the right side of her face, and it is not moving. But at the same time, the left side of her face is giving away a very creepy look at that time. Like her husband is starting to talk at that moment. And she thought that the camera was not pointed at her at that moment, so maybe that moment, if you remember my Derek Jackson video, those moments are very critical when people think that the camera is not on, or it's not on yet, or it's not pointed at them. And this is a very odd, like an expression that doesn't fit with anything about nothing that she has said over the last 5 minutes.
She loves to dance. she would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl," and she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl until my arm got tired, you know. But and you know, I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, you know, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, you know. Well, I'm sorry about that. It's just.
She also liked the song by a New Breed. It was called House, My House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
She liked to think of her.
She loved or she loves? That really creeps me out.
House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
She loved to dance. In past tense, she loved to dance. That's what I meant earlier when I told you that there were two scenarios. One, if they're talking a very specific past occurrence or something that happened in the past, it's normal that they talk in past tense. But if they're talking about one particular characteristic of the child, that she loves to dance, it's normal that she thinks that she's alive, she's still alive, they're searching for her, so it's normal to talk about her in present tense. But in this case, she says she loved, in past tense, loved to dance. So that's something that really, really creeps me out.
She liked to think of herself as a princess, and you know, and all that, like all young girls do. And
She loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa and
I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there, and I think
All that's past tense. I need a button like Kevin Samuels. Like Kevin Samuels has these little buttons with sounds. I need a button that says red flag and jumps a red flag at my side.
and explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, you know, when you're young, and she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church, or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that. I hope she gets to come home, you know, and I hope she gets to be with our church family again.
our best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Yeah, she looked up to
When
women that were.
she come to that church, she went looking for Robin. That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that
Was pretty,
yeah,
beautiful.
she looked up to those kind of women. She, you know, they were the word I'm looking for, I can't think of it, but she looked up to them. She'd give them a run for their money every day. She'd give them a run for their money, and there was times, you know, we'd be, you know, at our boys like, don't do this and don't do that. And next thing you know, the stick would come up and just whop them, you know, and it'd be like, Summer, don't do that. You
Summer
know?
was the boss of the family. She
Summer was the boss of the family. That's impossible. That's the most egregious use of past tense that you can like imagine. Was okay. The Summer, it was considered like the leader, but at the same time that statement it's spot on. It's not is the boss. No, it was the boss.
You know, and it'd be like, Summer, don't do that. You
Summer
know?
was the boss of the family.
She's
She
typical girl.
when they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
She'd do her best.
She loved to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
When I run the lawnmower around, she would run behind me. When the boys run their bikes around, she, as fast as that little bike.
Okay, this is normal. He's recalling as something that happened in the past, and if we're talking about something that happened in the past, that's normal to talk in the past.
Would go, she would be behind them running and keeping up with them, no problem. You know, she loved to run. She just loved to run, and she could pull herself up on that swing, her full body weight with her two hands, and she could do that. None of the other boys can do that, but she can.
Was she in school yet?
No,
No.
she's going this year.
This was supposed to be her first year of
She's been,
kindergarten.
we did all the, what?
I took care of everything.
Yeah.
I had her already taken all of her shots and registered in the school for ready for this year.
I just never expect.
Okay, Lucia Kitten says a very, very interesting observation. Also, they rarely use her name. They always say she, her. Only use pronouns, doesn't address her by her name, and that's important. It's another little bit that you still stack over everything else, and it's a little red flag, but it's a red flag indeed. And we are almost 9 minutes into the video, and we haven't seen a real change in emotional tone. Like nothing really gives emotion to them. In fact, the most relevant emotional displays have been like a smirk or smiling or almost laughing. That's really odd. It's like talking in past tense, speaking like that, no emotions. Well, you could have Bell's palsy, but you could show emotion in the way that you talk, and the voice tone, and the words that you use. Your face could be covered, your face could be paralyzed, and you're gonna pick. You still can pick other body language clues, and that's why it's so creepy. So that's why people are so upset with this video.
For anyone to get a hold of my heart like she has, because I try to guard my heart as much as I can, but she holds my heart in her little hands, and I love her with all my heart. I'd do anything to have her back. If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart, to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that.
Okay, no, this is way too much. This is absolutely no emotion in this words, and should be the most emotional of all. And he's even leaning backwards. He's leaning to his back. It's no interest. Let's hear him again.
If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart, to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that.
All right, man. I don't know, but it's absolutely nothing there. It is almost empty, empty eyes looking to the sides. It's not in bold in the most in your plea of anyone listening to this, anyone who could have her, please release her. There's no emotion in there. There's nothing. It's not convincing at all. It's incredible. I don't know. I would like to know if there are people, if there are really people that feel like that about a small child missing, because missing is one of the most nerve-wracking situations that you can face as a human being, not only as a parent, as a human being, because you're facing uncertainty about what could happen to your little child. So this is one of the most intense events that could happen to anyone, because you don't know, and that just it's gonna break down your nerves. Okay, they could be on pills to help them talk to the press, but at the same time, the words they pick are not influenced by pills, and other body language features are not influenced by pills, and that's what I find odd about this video.
I mean, 'cause you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and and us, and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come home. That she's My biggest fear is, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her downfall. 'Cause a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone?"
Yeah, I agree with the comment from. Okay, can I? How do I feature your comment? I'm gonna feature your comment here from. Don't listen to them. He's projecting when he said you're probably scared of prison. I would like to feature your comment. Can I feature your comment? I don't know. So I'm sorry, I cannot feature comments. I still can't feature comments. I forgot how to do that. I promise for the next live to be able to feature comments. So I don't know how to do it now, but yeah, that's right. He's projecting when he says you're probably scared of prison. I think that's projecting, or locked in a dungeon. That's really man.
Go get Summer now. And that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out, and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor
Yeah,
person.
talking about dungeons. What?
She loved to be outside.
Yep. And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything, and I'm afraid that she won't be able to, locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything, love nature, and that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity.
Let's go back a few seconds. That's important.
That's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility.
Well, maybe I could see some reddening of his eyes. Maybe I can see like it's. I don't know if you can spot it, that the eyes become more glistening with a bit of tears, but it's very very small. I don't know. Let's see. Let's make a comparison. We are here in 1106. Let's watch his eyes and let's go back to the start of the video. And no, they're pretty much the same. Here at 140, the eyes were a little red too, and had this exact same size of that bright spot. We go back to 1106, right? 1106. Yes, the same size, the bright spot, and the same red, and so there's absolutely no reaction. He's talking about his daughter that could be dead, and there's no reaction. Besides, a subtle, very subtle swallowing at the end. See, swallowing here. Here's the swallowing. Let me move this. Watch here, the throat. This is important. And talking, swallowing. A bit swallowing at the end, but that swallowing could be an emotional marker that he's really afraid that she could be dead, but at the same time we do not notice any change in his voice. The voice tone doesn't change, and the speed of speech doesn't change either. So we don't see much change in his posture. You can see that it's the exact same posture at 11:09 that at the beginning here. It's almost the same. 1:39. Okay, look at this, his posture here. I'm gonna move my window so you can watch it better. Here you got all his shoulders. You can watch his shoulders that are in this position, and we go to 11:09. It's in exact the same posture. It hasn't changed. There's no change in his posture. There's no change in like in facial expression. He's talking about different topics. He's talking about general topics. He's talking about that his daughter could be dead, and there's no change. There's absolutely no change of any sort, and that's really odd. That's not how it works. We change our posture when we're talking about a certain topic. We feel certainly uncomfortable. The moment that he was more uncomfortable when he was talking about the neighbors. Do you remember that when he like put his shoulders right together, talking about the neighbors? I don't know, over and over again. I think that has to do with everything. Maybe that's a real clue, but we still don't know why these people react in such an odd way. I am the first one to hope that we are all wrong and the kid is safe and they have nothing to do with all this. But at the same time, it's if the children is safe, if Summer is safe, and they had nothing to do with it, and if this is their real grief faces, then well, I don't know what to say. It's really sad. It's really sad because you don't see any emotion about this. Okay, this is a part we didn't see.
I don't want to address all the negativity. I just want to focus on the positive because it's so easy to get, lost in that negativity and stuff, and it's just not worth it. So I'm just, I appreciate y'all, the good things you say and your prayers. That's awesome.
When my mom and sister came missing, I was in between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know all of what happened or what did happen, but I hope that they find her too and bring her home safely too.
Yeah, there's nothing. She disappeared without a trace. They haven't found anything, haven't found a body, nothing. And when you see cases like that, that's why I lose hope on Summer. I want to keep hope, but sometimes I lose hope.
Lose it.
And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, so I start thinking in past tense, sorry. But I'm trying to keep hope up. I'm trying to keep my prayers up.
He also addresses the thinking in past tense. Who has, like, your mind, those moments to be like in that meta thinking think about your own thinking. I don't know, maybe it's possible, but there's so many red flags that we have seen throughout this video that I don't know what to say. I really hope we at least get some kind of closure. Of course they could still find the girl safe by now. It's sadly, when you have like certain window of time, the odds being falling like almost to zero, but it's always a possibility. The problem is when we watch this kind of videos that we want to really know if we are sure of what we're saying, that we're not insane. We're watching two persons that really don't look at all like they're afraid, or they don't look at all like they're grieving, or they are really upset or are sad of what is going on. It's it's really odd, and that's one of the things why I think that's the reason why this case has sparked so much attention. And I was reading some comments. And I just sprang. You should watch Summerwell's Parents. I hadn't, I haven't had done a video in a couple days. I know I had to start this live. So I watched this video and I decided I think it's a good idea to address this this video of the case. The case is very extremely on all the situation, especially all the contradictions of what were the situation in the first dispatch call, and then what was the situation when they addressed the police directly and when they addressed the press directly. And there's some holes and some change from one to another that makes us think that they are hiding something. And if they at the same time have this attitude that is really like not usual in a couple that lost that have a missing child, then that raises suspicions. I have made other analysis. I remember that one of my first analysis of this kind was last year when this channel was still in Spanish. I did an analysis of a couple that was supposedly crying because they had. I have a playlist that is called My Analysis in Spanish, and you can see that it's a video of an abducted baby, and in the end, it was all bollocks. It was not true. They had well, I don't want to say the word, but they were the culprits behind the child's disappearance. So, not saying that this the same case with them, but when you start to watch all these kind of cases, and when you work with these kind of cases, it's a very tough work. There's a saying that say that working like this is like you stare into the, I don't remember the saying now, staring into the beast ends up staring into you. Like working with crimes or working with true crime is something that is that drains your energy. That's why you see that I don't touch much this topic in my videos, because it takes a lot of research, and taking all that research always leads to other cases, and it always ends up draining a lot of energy. And of course, my main goal here is that you learn at the same time you have a good time, and to have a good time I always insert a bit humor here and there, but in these cases there's no space for humor. There's simply no way that I can say something funny about this. I think that this is a very delicate topic. It's a not easy topic to touch, and I'm really glad that I counted on you to share this moment and have so many likes and so many views. Some like 300. We're 300 right now. We are in the main hall now, 300 of us looking at this video, and I'm glad to be sharing here this analysis, and I hope to be doing this analysis more often. I this past weekend I tried to do a better disposition of my studio, so will be easier to make this live for you. So I'll be doing more lives more often, and we could be analyzing videos. I'm going to try to make a way to zoom in on videos, to make annotation on videos in live, to highlight comments. That's very important, because I really love the way that you comment and you add to the conversation. I miss some points now, and you pointed them out in the comments, and I really thankful for that. So I don't want to go much longer. 1 hour and a half, I think that's enough for today. I don't know if I'm going to create a dedicated video of this, or I'm going to move on to another topic, or I don't know yet. But if this works well, then I'll be doing like 2 or 3 lives a week, maybe more. I cannot promise now, but I'm starting to like this format. So thank you very much for being here tonight. And some of you are staying really late, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your time, and I'm really glad to be sharing this space with you. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy, and I'll meet you in another live pretty soon. Take care, my Battle Language buddies.